Today in history, in 1922, Egypt was declared an independent country.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. And don't get it twisted, it's not a fucking game. Fuck what you heard, it's what you hear and listen. Zach gonna give it to you. Fuck wait for you to get it on your own. Zach gonna deliver it to you.
My name is Meghan, and tonight I will be your spiritual guide. However, I should inform you before you get your hands and feet into the vehicle, I don't know where I'm going.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned that Zach is the worst white rapper that exists. Actually, today I learned that the tallest married couple ever recorded was Anna Haining Swan, who was 7 feet 11 inches, and Martin Van Buren Bates, who was 7 foot 9 inches. And when Anna gave birth, her baby was 22 pounds.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck.
Is she okay? I guess she's tall.
That baby fell like a giraffe baby.
Yeah, dude. Or like an ostrich egg, their shell is thicker.
Thunk.
Bonk. First off, thank you for calling out the ridiculousness of my intro.
I do have to go listen to that song now, though.
Second, I was gonna woof at the beginning, and I thought that was too much.
Fuck you didn't.
Third, holy fuck, that's a tall-ass lady and a tall-ass guy and a tall-ass baby.
Yeah, well,
tall-ass
not tall-ass
baby.
baby. It was just heavy.
I mean, hear me out, though. If we're gonna talk about weight displacement, I'm assuming it's a tall-ass baby,
It's
too.
probably a tall-ass baby. That guy came out with an NBA.
I understand babies when they come out
He came out with
and
an
they're just
NBA
jellied.
contract.
Even if they're just freshly jellied children, they're not standing up straight, but I still call it tall. It's maybe it's a long baby. It's a long.
It's a long baby. Let's call it a long baby. Also, when you said freshly jellied children, all I thought about was like the cranberry sauce out of the can.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen a child right after birth, but that's not.
Who used the term freshly jellied kid in a song? Was that a Bo
Burnham
Burnham song? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought
Wow,
I was right about that assumption.
That's a
were
truly inspired way to describe children fresh out of the womb.
Just
Freshly jellied.
cranberried.
All right, guys.
It's like really good.
Did we have more to say about freshly jellied kids?
No.
No, I'm just thinking about it, so we can go.
Okay, cool. We played an imaginary game of rock, paper, scissors. We have reset our strikes to 0. Our order for tonight is me with an itty-bitty baby story. Meghan with a story that is of an undeterminate
Undisclosed.
length. And Zach, who is bringing up the rear with some chonk.
I was gonna say who's just right.
No.
Oh.
Megan's probably just right, to be honest. More often than not, hers are like the perfect length, and she's like, okay, that was my story. And then you and I come in with like a massive club.
It's either way too big or way too small.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
fucking right way to do this.
I don't know. I guess we'll see about my story. I did really like looking it up.
Needle dick or a
So-
Campbell's can. Okay. So, as I was just mentioning, Zach and I especially tend to come to this podcast with some pretty beefy stories. And I don't know about my two compatriots here, but I sometimes look at stories that are a little bit smaller, and I think to myself, there's not really enough meat on this story to present it to my podcast friends. But I also feel like in some cases we should be good enough at our jobs by now, since we've been doing this for about 2 years, that this should not be the case when it comes to some stories. So in the spirit of that, I'm, one, telling a dad story because it's about World War II. Two,
Classic.
stepping on Megan's toes because it's about the Japanese theater.
Ooh.
And then 3, I'm telling a story that could really be summed up in a sentence, but I'm going to give you all the stuff.
Okay.
So I'm talking about World War II, but it's the end of it.
Okay, Matt, before you continue.
No.
Okay.
What's up?
No.
Well, I was going to say you are stepping on Megan's toes
Yes.
for being in the Japanese theater.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do something.
You're going to
'cause
step
I
on
wanted
my
to make-
toes?
No, I was going to say I don't know if this is true in the spirit of them, but I want to do it because I want them to remain relevant, and we haven't done it in a while.
Oh,
but I am
shit.
going to give you a strike.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
no.
god.
Christ.
Wow.
Thank God.
Holy
I
shit.
feel
thought
like that's only
I
fair.
thought he was going to cancel like the whole podcast for a second.
Oh, no, absolutely
Yeah,
not. This is
no,
too much fucking fun.
strikes definitely are relevant. And I appreciate you giving me one because this is the first strike of 2023, which I will happily take.
Wait, is
it
it?
is-
I thought
yes,
Zach
it
got a
is.
strike.
No, we haven't given Zach any strikes yet.
I'm in strike free.
And I am
Surprisingly.
I'm honored to take the first strike of 2023. I will wear it proudly like a badge of honor. So again, I am talking about World War II. I'm talking about the end of it and the Japanese theater. Specifically, I am talking about one particular individual whose story is a little bit crazy, and I'm going to do my best to bury the lead here just a little bit. But as I mentioned, the story can be summed up in about 2 sentences, so we'll see how good I do. This gentleman's name is Tsutomu Yamaguchi, and he was an engineer in Japan.
His name sounds so familiar, and I'm trying not to think too hard on it.
He was born on March 16th of the year of our Lord 1916, and when he was in his 20s, he took a job for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, where he worked drafting designs for oil tankers. In the summer of 1945, Yamaguchi and 2 coworkers were on a business trip, but they were getting ready to come home. They had been there, I think, if I remember correctly, they had been there for about 3 weeks, and they were getting ready to leave to come home. When he got to the boat to, like, board the boat and go home, he realized that he had forgotten his identification.
Oh, no.
And so he...
And this is when Americans were throwing... Oh, never mind. That was only Japanese Americans. Who were throwing internment camps.
No, wait, never mind.
Wait, never mind. So
Wait, never mind. It was only our own citizens we were being shitty to.
So he turns around and goes back to the site where he was working, so that he can find his identification badge. And he gets to the location where he had been working, turns around and heads back to the boat. And like I said, this story is very short. So that was the longest that I could bury the lead because the date was August 6th.
Oh, no.
He was in
Yep.
Hiroshima, and at
Yep.
8:15 in the morning, while walking
Classic.
back to the boat that was meant to take him home, he watched as the little boy got dropped from the Enola Gay, and Hiroshima suffered the first attack from an atomic bomb ever. So the explosion knocked him on his ass. He ruptured both of his eardrums. He was temporarily blinded, and he suffered radiation burns on the top left half of his body. As soon as his sight was restored, he crawled to a shelter nearby, and then got patched up just enough so that he could go out and find his coworkers. And he did, in fact, find his coworkers after a little bit of searching. And then
Were they
what?
also alive?
They were also alive. Yes, they had both survived the blast. But they decided that it was still time for them to go home. So they boarded a boat and returned home to
Don't say Nagasaki.
Nagasaki.
Holy
Oh,
fuck.
Zach.
No.
Don't say Nagasaki.
So he
Don't
gets
say
gets
it.
home to Nagasaki, gets himself patched up at a local clinic and gives himself a couple days to rest before going back to work on August 9th. And this is the craziest thing about this story, because he had just finished explaining what the atomic bomb looked and felt like to a supervisor at his job when at 11 a.m.
Oh my god.
It looks and feels just like that.
the fat man was dropped on Nagasaki.
Stop it. This man. This poor man.
Does he live?
He does.
Holy
Holy
fuck!
shit.
The man that outlived 2 atomic bombs.
So
This man has, like, more radiation in him than uranium itself.
So, in each instance, I looked. I was researching this, and I looked this up. He was 2 miles, or approximately 2 miles, away from each blast.
Okay.
And the first injury, as I mentioned, he got knocked on his ass, was blinded temporarily, was deafened, and had burns on him. The second drop, the second bomb in Nagasaki, he didn't suffer any physical symptoms aside from the fact that he vomited profusely for a full week.
Yeah.
But he didn't get knocked down. Nothing fell on him. He wasn't injured or hurt or anything to that effect with the second bombing. So that's the whole story, kinda.
Kinda. What do you mean?
Well,
kinda?
so interestingly enough, despite the fact that, he was there when 2 atomic bombs were dropped, he lived to be 93 years old.
How?
Holy
How
shit.
did he live that long?
He died in, I think, 2010.
Holy shit.
And he spent the latter part of his life just talking about a need for the removal of atomic bombs.
He's like, as the only man alive.
Not
who
the
has-
only man alive who has the distinction of surviving both. He was one of several people the Japanese government actually went through the process of honoring the people, and I'm not going to bastardize the Japanese language enough to try and pronounce what they called these individuals.
Oh, they do. They.
Okay.
But they did.
Begins with an H.
Yeah, they had several others. He had only been honored as a person who survived, I think. He had been honored by one or the other earlier on. And that was good enough for him, but when they went back and checked, he had been I think they double checked it, and he was like, yeah, no, I was there for both and survived both. And
also the word is hibakusha.
okay, cool. Meghan I trust much more than than myself.
This is wild to me, because to give a little bit of extra background for you,
Yeah.
the little boy,
Yep.
which was the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima,
Yeah.
it exploded with a force that was equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT.
Yep.
And destroyed 5 square miles of city.
Which is
So
wild
cool.
because he was only 2 miles away.
Yeah, it's square miles though, so
Fair,
it's,
right. That's different.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna
trying
post
to
a
think
picture of him in the chat for you guys too, so that you can see what he looked
Okay.
like at his old age.
And the Fat Man
Yep.
was 21,000 tons of TNT
Yeah.
and 3 square miles of city.
Yeah.
That's you survived the equivalent of 36 tons of dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah, much dynamite.
Much dynamite.
A lot.
That's like and like looking at like the damage zones on a like nuclear blast.
Yeah.
Like a 10 kiloton bomb is going to be extremely devastating from at least a mile around in a radius.
Right. I think
2 miles out is like pretty decently devastating still, but like the fuck.
I think the thing that kind of impressed me most about this story though was, and maybe it was played up just for like the sake of it, but him saying that he had just gotten done telling his supervisor. And this was a time before like information traveled very, very quickly.
Yeah,
so,
but like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had just finished like telling his boss. Like his boss was like, "What'd you do over the weekend? How was the business trip?" And he goes, "I almost got fucking fried by a bomb."
Yeah.
Well,
almost got
he
annihilated.
also had to
my
come
man.
back to work with he came back to work with bandages. Like I said, he was pretty heavily burnt.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
his
sorry,
boss,
my guy. Can I maybe have a couple of vacation days? I almost turned into a fucking fried egg.
his boss probably was like, "Hey, how'd you get that?" And he was like, "Well, let me tell you."
Yeah, let
Boy,
me tell
howdy.
you a story.
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you a story about how my life turned upside
And
down.
how. So I just thought it was really interesting, and we really don't, we often don't tell stories that are only 2 sentences long without sort of sensationalizing them or contextualizing them a little bit. I think everyone who's done a regular history class, at least in 2023, knows what World War II is and what the atomic bombs are.
I mean,
I
fingers
hope.
crossed.
We'll see if Ron DeSantis changes the culinary again in Florida. Maybe you don't know,
Yeah,
but bombs
sure.
got dropped. You can look it up at your local library. World War II.
Maybe you can look it up. At your
We
local library.
mentioned the cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Definitely check it out.
Dude, I'd lose my mind if someone came into the library and it's just like, "Hey, I heard this new thing."
I've heard
can you
about this
tell
new
me-"
thing. Can you tell me about World War II?
I heard this
Yeah.
newfangled thing called atomic bombs.
I'd
But-
be like,
My
Go.
whole thing too is, so I just heard a story about another country that is like in the process of making their first atomic bomb,
Why?
where it's just like, so this guy survived 2 of them. Since then, we have only made them more powerful, such to the point where like the term mutually assured destruction now exists. And
"That's true."
like
It does.
instead of taking, because he spent, as I mentioned, the latter half of his life just talking about how like these are bad for your health.
Yeah.
And instead of like the world going, you know what, we probably should take a step back, everyone's just like, hey, can't wait to get enough of that.
Yeah. That's
Listen,
so dumb.
I don't know if you've ever played Civ.
I was about to
but-
say, there's only one time that nuclear armaments are okay, and that's when fucking I can't remember what the guy's name is.
I don't know, when, fucking Queen Victoria herself tries to
Oh yeah,
drop
it's like
them.
the only time that nuclear armaments are okay is when the Congo fucking pisses me off in Civ 6 because I don't want to do what they want me to do, and I'm like,
Yeah,
way
that's so
advanced in
accurate,
technology.
though. That's, like, so accurate.
Like-
Like, the Congo will be like, "I'm the most warmongering nation you've ever seen." It's like, "My brother, get
My
out!"
brother, I have nukes. Yeah, like
And
that's the only time I'm okay with
The
this.
other time is when Gandhi makes them.
No.
Oh my
fuck
God,
God,
why?
Gandhi's the worst
In
in
old
Civ 6.
versions of Civ, where he would be so peaceful that if he became more peaceful, he was also the most villainous.
They kept that in the game.
I bet
That's
they
still a
did,
feature in the
because
game.
that is the funniest sounding glitch that exists.
It is a rolling integer,
Yeah.
which is actually very funny. It's a very I know this because I'm dumb. Here's my little fun fact for the day.
Today you
negative
learned,
integers and
audience.
rolling integers are actually something that is very common that you have to like play test for in a lot of different video games. It's one different ways where you can like exploit things by having a rolling integer where you basically like lose so much money that you actually make money because it doesn't understand like having a negative.
Yeah.
It doesn't understand.
There's actually ways to like exploit different games. Like people have done it with like online games where they basically like sell a certain number of things so that it seems like they have a negative in their inventory, and next thing you know, they have like 1 million of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of rolling back to a negative, it rolls back to the highest number.
Yeah.
I wish real life worked like that.
I know, right? Can I go so in debt that I'm a billionaire?
So anyways,
I spend all my money right now. Can I just all of a sudden be rich?
that's my two sentence story, and I did take a little bit of time contextualizing it, but I also, explained how it's
No, that's
I'd like
great.
to
still relevant
add
today.
to your story.
Huh?
I'd like to add to your
Yeah,
story.
feel
that
free.
When I was in Hiroshima, I did go to like the dome, one of the only like buildings that survived the blast, which is sort of like this hollowed shelled building that had a dome on it. And also they have like down one of these really innocuous looking streets that's like filled with a bunch of like stores and whatever. They do have like a singular like granite pillar, and it's not big, but it has a plaque on it, and it says, a mile above your head, like exactly where you're standing, is where the bomb went off. And
Holy shit.
I looked up and I was like, what?
That's wild. That is like,
yeah.
that is a humbling fucking monument right there.
It was very weird. Like, I looked around, everything was normal. I looked up into the sky, it was gray, it was a normal looking sky, and I looked back at the plaque and I was like, Jesus Christ. And then you look at pictures of Hiroshima, because when you go, like, the city seems really planned out. Like, the streets are really wide. The buildings are, like, not modern constructions, but they're kind of blocky and concrete. But it's because all of them were leveled. Like, and so all the buildings I was looking at were, like, relatively new in terms of Japanese history, because the city was gone.
There was nothing left.
There was nothing left. But yeah, anyway,
Except for
that's
one
my
fucking dome.
Yeah, that's my fun fact about my time, my big adventure in Hiroshima. The time I stood under the atomic bomb blast.
Yeah. I think it's too interesting a story not to tell. It's almost like,
oh, absolutely.
It's almost like that woman who, I feel like Meghan told a story about the unsinkable woman.
Yes.
Oh yeah, her name was like Jessup.
Yeah,
that was
and
her
she
last
survived the sinking of the Titanic and the Britannic.
Yeah, like all of the Titanic sisters that she was like, well, I'll just get on
I'm just
them.
gonna get on them, and then they sank, and she's
It's all
like,
good.
I'll get off. It's fine.
Yeah, they're like, ma'am,
I
are
can
you
see
okay?
You don't want me. Fine.
So it was definitely one of those stories that I was reading this, and I was just like, hey, that's a two-sentence story, but like if you tell it right, it can be a little longer. So I did want to bring it to your attention, and I did post a picture of this gentleman in the group chat. He looks he looks delightful.
Let me
honestly,
look at him. Wow, he looks great.
He died at
He looks-
93 of stomach cancer. So
Well,
Holy
you know,
shit. I mean,
to be
I'm not
expected.
gonna lie. I was kind of expecting
yeah,
cancer.
of some kind for sure.
Yeah. Do you think like when he went into his doctors, they were like, "Hey, do you have like family history of cancer?" And he's like, "Oh no, it was the bombs."
He's like, no, but I do have a family history of 2 fucking huge bombs.
Yeah.
I bet
have enough
I would
uranium in
imagine
me
that I would imagine that's exactly how that conversation went.
Oh,
Do you have
yeah,
a history?
1000%.
No. Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
The
both of them.
the guy survived both atomic bombs, which either means one of two things was going to happen. Either he was going to have cancer at some point in his life, or he was going to have superpowers.
There's
That's
no
so true.
fucking way around it. Like,
There's no in
That's
between.
so yeah. There's
not to make
absolutely
light
no...
of cancer or the fact that 2 bombs were dropped on this
Yeah,
man.
no. I mean,
But there's 2 options: superpowers
or cancer. Yeah. And
They were
historically,
specifically dropped on him.
anyone who has experienced radiation never got superpowers, or we'd have heard about it by now. So
That's true.
But this guy's
they're still
superpower was
keeping them.
living to 93 years old. So like,
Yeah, that's actually true though.
because a lot of other people that were like in the area succumbed
Didn't
much
make it that long.
much faster. Yeah. So,
Yeesh.
but anyways, that's my story. It's not the longest one I've ever told. It's probably actually the shortest one I've ever told. But I think it needed to
I
be
liked
told.
it. I liked that
For
one.
fun. I'm glad we
It was a
all
good
enjoyed
one.
ourselves.
You want to move on to me?
Yeah, we can do that
Yeah.
whenever you're ready. Megan has made it
I'm-
known to us that she's the middle child and has been the past like 3 podcasts, so we're gonna switch it up next time, guys. So if
It's true.
you're complaining about the amount of times that we've put Megan in the middle,
I don't think anyone is.
she's
I
also
don't-
complaining about it off camera, and I'm
No,
bringing it to light
that's-
now.
Okay.
And by complaining, I just mean she said, "Hey, I've been in the middle like a few times now," and we're like, "Oh yeah, we should probably change that up, huh?"
All right. I want to tell my story.
Can you tell us what it's called first?
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, we don't.
I guess.
I'm sorry,
God.
Megan.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm going to tell my story. The title is I'm Not Eccentric, I'm Spiritual.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. It's a good one. Okay. So, back in the day when you could truly go on a mythical quest with little to no repercussion because rules didn't exist, I am referring to the 1920s to be exact.
Wow, that is not a long time ago when rules didn't exist.
They definitely didn't exist in the 1920s. You could just, like, go and eat a mummy if
I'm
you wanted
not-
from Egypt. Like, you could, like, literally
okay,
go...
Could you actually?
You
go eat a
could
mummy?
absolutely do that in the 1920s, yes.
You could literally go and... Why do you think there aren't that many mummies, Zach?
One of the stories that I was researching today was that the rich used to go eat dead humans because
Okay,
mummies tasted
thought-
delicious, I guess.
Look, I know.
This is a whole sidetrack right now, and I'm ready.
I know that we have talked or at least I have talked about how many times in history medicine wasn't the greatest, and they were kind of like, hey, I guess the best way to like cure yourself is to just crush up this mummy and snort it, or like eat this mummy, or like
That's exactly what they did.
you have blood problems, you should just drink blood. Like, but I thought we'd
Add
be
more
over
blood.
that in the 1920s.
No, they
No,
legitimately, like, the rich used to eat dead people because they thought that it would boost their immune system.
Yeah, so like a lot of things happened in the 1920s, so there was no rules. So in this time frame,
1920s Outback Steakhouse, no rules, just right.
no rules,
God.
just right. This woman absolutely was like, that's my motto, that's my slogan, I live and breathe it. So she decides to go travel the world, and she throws herself into esoteric spiritualism and infiltrates countries forbidden to foreigners, like their borders were cut off, and she was like, that doesn't apply to me, the no rules, just right.
I'm a rich white woman. Rules don't apply to me.
I mean, essentially, that's what she did.
Where's
so
my pumpkin spice latte?
she's like, where's my pumpkin? I mean, to be fair, this lady, like, she's not exactly pumpkin spice, right?
Okay.
On a level of
'cause
1
she
to
did-
Karen.
Well, she became like a Buddhist master,
Oh.
so like that's a
Okay.
bit different from.
So she's going
her,
the opposite direction.
yeah, she's going in some direction. I mean, there's still crystals
We're
involved.
all
but,
going
like,
in one direction or another.
there's, yeah, it has, Harry Styles, One Direction.
Oh,
That's
no.
a cut.
That is a cut. So her name is Alexandria David Neal, and she was a Belgian French woman who
What a
was
combination.
she is Belgian, she is French, and she is also an intrepid explorer, a spiritualist, a Buddhist, an anarchist for the razzle dazzle, an opera singer, and because why not, a writer
Yes.
as well.
Okay. I wasn't really a fan of hers, but now I
You
am.
can never have
Well,
too
yeah.
many things.
I imagine if she sat down with like a career counselor and they're like, okay, like let's
What
pick
have you
one,
done?
and she's like, what do you mean pick?
What do you want to do with your life? Everything.
She's like the
Yeah,
kid that has all of the things in their arm. It's like, don't
Okay,
you need a cart for that? And she's like, what?
No.
What?
Okay, she is one of those rich white ladies that has the, like, really poorly made sign in her living room that says Carpe Diem, except she actually fucking listened to it.
Yeah, she definitely did. So she did not limit herself, obviously, and not only did she have 9 million careers, but her writings influenced the beat writers like Kerouac and Ginsberg.
Nice.
So that's
Okay.
kind of cool. I guess. I don't know. I don't think Kerouac's a great writer. So
I don't
Kerouac's overrated.
think Ginsberg is a great writer, so.
I mean, Howell is fine, but like, I don't know. Name another.
Right, exactly.
Like, so anytime a middle-aged white man goes like how great Kerouac is, I really want to tell them like, oh, you mean the guy who copied Alexandria? And they're gonna be like, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, not a real fan, are you then?
Fake fan.
I think you need to do that.
Fake fan. Yeah, my boss really loves Kerouac because he's a white man.
Yep.
And no offense, guys, I know that you're white guys too.
A white
but
man? No!
listen, like, they love him. There's just like, he speaks to my soul. And I'm like, what part of it? The alcoholic part? Like, I just don't know what part he's speaking to. Anyway, I'm getting off track.
We've gotten off track several times.
Yeah. So
we do.
I'm going to explain this lady without further ado. She has a long and storied life. So she was born in 1868. And in 1871, when she was but 2 years old, her father thought it was a great idea to bring his toddler to a rebel-like memorial at a graveyard, to which she said she never forgot this early encounter with death. I don't know
Hell
why
yeah.
he made this decision.
I mean,
It's never
that's
explained.
like some fucking, Mary Shelley shit, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe he
Mary
was just
Shelley
like,
was a pretty
I...
dope human being.
Yeah, and also very macabre, and like, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also think, like, her dad, being a French dad, was just like, my child.
Okay, in all fairness, we did talk, the last episode that was released was talking about how the French used to, like, be like, ooh, what are we gonna do on a Sunday? Let's go to the morgue.
Oh, yeah.
The piss episode.
The piss episode. Where is the piss?
So, like, yeah, the French people in death, they call coming les petites morts, like...
I think you
Yeah,
brought
that's
that
true.
up last time,
They
too.
fucking love it.
We also
they
love
fucking
talking
love
about
death
how much
and coming.
They
the
love
city
these two
smells
things.
like piss, so...
Yeah.
Yep. So,
But so not surprised by your French dad being like, death, you want to check it out?
yeah, you want to check it out? And she was too, and she was like, yes, papa. So, yes, papa.
I just love
Papa,
Megan's
we-
impression of a small French girl. Yes, Papa.
Yes, papa. I love existentialism early on in my young life. So, with all of her, like, hopes of optimism really dashed at 2 years old, she eventually becomes a teenager, but before the age of 15, she was already practicing austerities, which consisted of fasting, corporeal torments, and recipes, like, that she would make, that ascetic saints would, like, make for themselves. All of this was conveniently found in the library of one of her female relatives, so, like, maybe the whole family was just fucking weird. And I do not understand this family. So then she finally hits 15, and she tried running away while on vacation with her parents in the Netherlands, and she tried to make it for England, but she didn't have any money because she's fucking 15 years old.
She's trying to make it England, one of the most spiritual places in the world.
Yeah, I, like, don't understand why she tried to, like, run away or, like, tried to make it to England, but, like, I don't know. Maybe at 15 she was just like, you don't control me, Dad, and your weird field trips to the cemetery. I'm gonna go make it big in England. So I'm gonna go become, like, an ascetic saint in England. They're gonna really love me fasting over there. So then when she is 18, she decides that, like, just traveling wasn't enough for her. It was too boring. So she decided it was time to start joining secret societies.
As one does, fair enough.
I too often join secret societies.
Yeah,
and
just
then
off the
I
cuff.
cancel because the subscription charges to. Oh wait, no, those are like Hulu and Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, the subscription charge to a lot of cults is a little bit too much too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
that's
ask the
true.
people of Jonestown.
It's like, listen, I don't want to give any more blood than I have to. Is what...
I don't want to drink this.
What's
Kool-Aid,
this
my
Kool-Aid?
dude.
Just don't.
Hey,
do you have a gun in your hand?
Hey, buddy, does this Kool-Aid taste funny to you? We really have to keep marching on.
Yeah, so she starts joining secret societies. Most notably, she made it into like what is called the 30th degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's pretty far up in the fucking Scottish Freemasons. And
I'm not a Scottish Freemason, but one can assume.
One can assume. I'm not a Scottish Freemason, but one can assume. Anarchist and feminist groups also welcomed her, and it prompted her to publish various feminist and anarchist manifestos and treatises. So like we all have hobbies, and this was hers. So I guess like I don't like. There has never been a point in my life when I have had even the fucking opportunity to join a secret society, and like I'm mad about it. Like, this girl's 18 and
have you sought them out?
I want them to seek me out.
That's not how secret societies work.
No,
Yeah.
that is how secret societies
only
work. They're
some of
secret
them.
how my...
Some
Oh
of them
my
you
God.
get tapped. The other ones you fall into by going down a rabbit hole.
Is it so
Yeah,
much
you
for me
find
to
them
put...
and they're like, "Ah, yes, you found us."
You can
found us. Is
join
it
because
so-
you found us.
Okay, but here's another thing. What if on my LinkedIn profile I put secret societies #interested and then I get headhunted and then you'll all be sorry?
That would be
'cause I found
that
out.
would
I
be
think you should go
wild.
for it.
You should
All
live
right,
your dreams.
I'll do it. After this, I'll update it. So
Is the Freemasons technically a secret society?
Not anymore. Not when you have buildings
did-
in major cities.
that's true.
Okay.
Well, it's secret on how to join them.
I love the tone of Zach's okay just now. 'Cause-
Well, no, 'cause, like, I was gonna say then, like, I wanted to know because if they were technically still a secret society, then I have been invited to join secret societies before.
Are the Cub Scouts
Okay,
a
well-
secret society?
Can you what? Okay, after this, I'll look up how to get into secret societies.
And we're
And-
all gonna join one.
What I
Different
need
ones.
is for you to continue your story, and I will look that
Yeah.
up for you.
Okay, thank you. So in 1889, after trips to India, because she then decided she was going to go to India, she converted to Buddhism. She's 21 at this point.
Great.
Okay.
So she's getting a lot done in a short amount of time. In the same year, she was like, I'm going to become an Orientalist. We don't call them this anymore, but what she means is someone who studies Asia.
I hate
Yeah,
that term.
it's a little cringe.
Yeah, a little.
However, she needed to refine her English because remember, she's French and Belgian. So she headed to London where she meets up with several members of yet another secret society that she was part of, and they helped her, which is so nice. See, secret societies are like
I
people
love
you
that
go
she
to college
finally
with.
made it to England.
That's the
That's
one
good.
takeaway.
Well, she made it to Scotland, clearly.
Yeah.
But I guess didn't just go south. So they helped her learn English, and then the next year, she was like, all right, I think my English is good enough. I'm going to start learning Sanskrit and Tibetan.
Okay.
As one does.
Because it's a quick jump
Yeah,
from
no.
English to Sanskrit. However, she was super bad at taking tests, so at the suggestion of her dad, because she couldn't get into like colleges for translation because she was bad at the entrance exams, she decided to attend the Royal Conservatory in Brussels, where she studied piano and singing, which is, I guess, a kind of language. And
Was she bad at entrance exams because she was cosmically an infant?
Maybe. It's unclear why she was bad at entrance exams. But clearly she could get into the Royal Conservatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to help her parents out financially, she took a position as the first singer at the Hanoi Opera House in Vietnam, or Indochina, as it was called back in the day. She also dabbled in writing operas with her pianist lover, and went to Tunisia and met a distant cousin who would one day become her future husband. So,
Nice.
her life is sort of everywhere.
Let's be honest. Her life was sort of everywhere before.
She joined the Hanoi Opera House and started writing operas with her pianist
Let's
lover.
be clear. You made sure we knew that she was eccentric.
Yeah, she is really eccentric. So she meets the distant cousin who's going to become her future husband, and it was in Tunisia where she gave up her singing career and became a graphic designer at a casino in Tunisia, which is I don't know how she got into the advertising department, or that they even had advertising departments at this point in time, but they did. Also, like, what a queen, though, like, for everyone struggling out there for, like, to find, like, a direction in their life, because, like, she
just
truly
picked
the
a
model
model
that
one.
you don't.
She picked every direction and went.
Yeah, like, just don't choose. Just, like, do fucking whatever.
Yeah.
So, at the age of 36, she gets married.
Okay.
And to her distant cousin. And their life together was good, but, like, also kind of turbulent. And she didn't want children because she knew it wouldn't work with her need to be independent and pursuit of learning. And then a few years into their marriage, she was like, my love, my husband, my family member, I am going to go on another trip to India. And she promised her husband that she would be back in 19 months because, remember, it takes a long time to get to India.
It sure does.
Yeah. So these 19 months quickly turned into 14 years.
Yes, as it happens.
As it happened. And when she came back, she had also
That's like when
adopted...
my dad left to get cigarettes.
Yeah, you know, it's like when my wife went to go to India to get in touch with herself.
Dad, where's Mom? She went to visit India. It's okay.
But so she comes back, and she has adopted a son.
Of course. As you so often
who
do.
was, like, kind of older. Like, he wasn't a child. He was just, like, a guy who was also her son.
I found this boy. He's 25. He's my son now.
I was going to say, I found this boy. That is an adult man.
That is a human person.
That is, he does not need to be taken care
That
of.
is a walking, talking Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, dude. So, needless to say, when she comes back after 14 years with, like, just a man who is also her son, her marriage began to unravel. As
No
she
shit.
Yeah. They just, like, really weren't on the same page anymore. And she continued to travel around Europe and, like, never saw her husband. And I guess, like, my question is, like, if he was willing to deal with the son, why wouldn't he just, like, go travel with her?
Yeah.
He just didn't, though. So...
Okay, but that's
just,
dumb. Like, if I'm gonna have a globe-trotting wife, I might as well just fucking be along for the journey.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, the adult son is weird, but, like, I'm sure it's a hurdle we could get over if she just, like, explains herself. Anyway, so during her time in India, she meets, like, Maharajas and the Dalai Lama, and she stays in various monasteries across India to, like, further study Buddhism. She also crossed into Tibet a few times, which is #illegal, due to geopolitics. However, when she went to Tibet the first time, the Panchen Lama, which is, like, the second highest authority in Tibetan Buddhism, gave her the honorary title of, like, becoming a lama, which made her a doctor of Tibetan Buddhism. Like this random white lady.
What the fuck?
And then when she goes back to India, the British authorities deported her because they're like, hey, you can't do that. You can't go into Tibet. It's illegal. But she was like, whatever. There are a lot more fish in Asia. And by fish, I mean countries. So she went to pretty much all of them. And then she was like, okay, I want to go back to Tibet, but this time I'll go in disguise because they'll never catch me that way.
A random white lady, will never be seen in Tibet.
Yeah, she's just like, I bet they'll never catch me if I put trash all over my body and I become a beggar. And she was found out, though, because she bathed too much, and beggars covered in trash aren't supposed to go down to the river and bathe and then put the trash back on them. That's just not how beggars work.
Hang on, guys. I need to put my trash back on.
Like, what a fucking rookie mistake. So then she's deported, obviously, again. And when she goes back to Europe, everyone was just like, damn, was that lady who snuck into Tibet a bunch of times? So she was kind of famous.
Okay.
And she published her story in Paris, London, and New York. And then when she was 69, she headed back to China to study Taoism. However, the year was 1937, and she found herself in the middle of the Second Sino-Japanese War.
Oh,
classic. Which was the precursor to World War II in Asia. So, trying to avoid this, the whole war thing, she just, wandered through China on, a shoestring budget and eventually found herself living again in Tibet for 5 years, not as a trash panda, but, as a regular person. And I'm going to quote this line because it is so funny. She said she was deeply touched by the announcement of the death of her husband in 1941. So I'm glad that she found out about it and that she was touched. Did not go back to mourn him or anything. And then at the ripe age of 78, she returns to France, and she writes, and she was suffering from rheumatism. And then at the age of 101, she dies in Monaco with a friend who was looking after her.
Okay.
That's her life. That's Alexandria David Daniil. And she's, my role model now.
I mean, you know what? Fair enough. I think if you're going to have a role model who says, fuck the rules, join a secret society, and travel the world.
I mean, that's what she did, though. She was like, I'm not going to have a career. My career is going to be sneaking into Tibet.
I'm gonna make a job out of sneaking into Tibet. Being a trash person and washing in the river.
Yeah, people are like, Alexandra, that's not a job. And she's like, shut up, narc.
She's like, watch me.
Fucking watch me.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. I'm going to sneak into Tibet for the third time.
What are you gonna do? Fucking deport me again? Fucking bring it on.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? If you want it to stick, arrest me.
That's like that one kid that got arrested for impersonating a doctor several times.
Oh, jeez.
What?
That was much more recent, though.
Yes,
and he didn't.
What?
He didn't live a full life of sneaking into Tibet before he.
Have we ever truly lived a full life until we've snuck into Tibet?
I don't think so. Which is why this summer...
I wanted to go to Tibet.
I'm sneaking into Tibet.
This summer,
Is it bad that, you said that, and I just, my brain on it, coming.
That's exactly what it was meant to do.
This summer,
it did.
Matt, it sneaks into Tibet.
It did what I was designing it to do.
Matt sneaks into Tibet. I would lose my mind if you messaged me and you're like, so I snuck into Tibet. I'd be like, and you didn't bring me?
The first of a 3-part series where we all sneak into Tibet.
We all sneak into Tibet. We're doing the podcast from Tibet that we have snuck into. We've gotten past the Chinese security teams.
Oh, no.
Anyway, that was my story.
And you're sticking to it.
I love it.
I wish I was her, honestly. I wish I was a 101-year-old opera singer / Tibetan doctor.
Yeah, you know what I think we all do?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, you are you are instantly the most interesting person at all parties.
Absolutely. But speaking of interesting people, I'm going to take this talking stick from you, Megan.
Yeah, go ahead.
And tonight, I am going to do something that I have never done before. Are you ready?
I'm scared, but excited.
Well, what I'm going to do tonight is tell you all a story where the Vikings are the bad guys.
Oh my god,
Whoa,
Zach, why
hey,
would you betray
no.
your
All right.
people?
Sound the alarm. First of all, automatic
wait.
2 strikes for Zach because this is against everything that he believes in.
Hear me out before we start, because normally I know I'm the one who's all for the Vikings. Them good old Norse fight boys have been my bread and butter for many an occasion. But you know what? Before you give me the strikes, we're all human. And history is a human thing, and therefore it is fallible.
Okay, strike.
So,
Just
I
the
will
one.
be the
You'll get
first-
the one strike because
Okay.
I was just trying to make a bit and you made it into an existential thing.
okay, I'm sorry. I'll take the one strike for that. You're right. I ruined the
I'm
fun,
sorry.
and I brought the dread in. But I am going to be the first to tell you that my favorite of the Fight Man Dude Bros weren't always the best, and they did their fair amount of fucked up shit, which some people don't like it when it comes to the things that they love. They don't like to admit that they're sometimes bad. You know, it's like almost as if we view history through a myopic lens where only one group can do no wrong. You don't actually learn anything.
All right, Zach. Like,
And you know what?
I
If you
just-
feel attacked by that joke, good, because everyone else that didn't feel like they were attacked by that joke thought it was fucking funny, you asshole.
That's true.
I'm so fucking feral tonight. 2023, hashtag the one where Zach gets back to nature. Let's do it!
Like, he's actually living in a river right now.
I'm a river monster.
You, like, definitely are.
Anyway, on with the program.
On with our scheduled programming.
Tonight, I wish to speak to the two of you about Brian Boru of Ireland.
That's a good
Hell yes.
It's a great name. There is a less anglicized version of Boru, and I'm not gonna fucking try to pronounce it.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, are you not saying it because you can't pronounce it? Because, like, fair
Steve
play.
will tell us.
I would love Steve to
Steve
tell,
will
but it's
give
like
us a
it would be
try.
like me trying to pronounce that. Do you ever seen that video of that guy who was the weatherman?
Yes.
And he pronounced the
that
fucking
says the
longest
whole
name in
thing
Wales.
from fucking Wales.
Glingogogog. Like
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of fucking shit. Like I will show you some of the names, and you're gonna be like, the fuck.
This dude, he's my hero, by the way. That guy.
He is my hero.
He practiced
Oh.
so hard
Oh yeah, it shows.
just
It fucking
just
shows.
to say that one line.
And I love him for it. But not talking about him, talking about Brian. My boy Brian was born in 941. That's right. We're
my-
going way back for this one.
My man Brian was born in a year that has three numbers.
I was
not
gonna
the
say.
time.
Before the quadruple digit numbers.
Yeah, before the tyranny of quadruple digit years came upon us.
So born in 941.
Yep.
In Kincora in the Kingdom of Munster in
That's not
Ireland.
a place anymore.
Not a place anymore.
That's not a place anymore.
But Brian was the youngest of 12 children to
Jesus Christ.
Senatag McLaren.
Yes.
And now
Yes,
I would like
that is his name.
and that is his name.
That's
but
all. That's
I'm,
all I need.
I'm also going to send you quickly in the Discord how that's spelled,
Okay.
and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
No,
Alright,
you
hold on.
you definitely said it wrong.
No. I said it right.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Can you say it again?
Senatag McLaren.
Okay.
Senegal macaroni.
Yep, Senegal macaroni.
That's exactly what it looks like.
And he was Senatag was the king of Thomond, which is a small place inside of Munster. You know, vassals on vassals on vassals. That's how the feudal system in that time period worked.
Okay.
One of my new favorite games that I'm playing right now is Crusader Kings 3, where it's just like the Vassal Simulator 9000, and it's great.
The Vassal Simulator 9000.
Yeah, you literally are like, how do I take over the world? Also, I need so many vassals because I can't control this much land.
I need
Anyway,
people
I
to pay me
digress.
homage.
Now, being the youngest of 12, Brian doesn't really, think he's going to have any chance at succession because
Well,
you got 11 other fuckers in front of you.
but here's the thing. Here's the secret cap.
Yeah?
The year is 930 something.
Yeah?
And medicine is bullshit or doesn't exist. So
Yeah, absolutely,
No,
but...
medicine is the woman who lives down the lane that can speak to God directly because she ate a special,
talk to
a
the
special
bogwish when we
brand
get
of
sick.
mushroom.
Absolutely. Go talk to the bogwitch when you have a fever.
Go
I
talk
get
to
that.
the bogwitch.
I do the same thing.
Get yourself down to the bogwitch, boy.
Boy.
yeah.
Anyway.
So you know what? I'm gonna say he does have a pretty good chance.
Okay, here's the thing. If he was, the youngest of 3, absolutely. 11 other fucking people in front of you?
Dude, what was the child mortality rate? All of
I
it?
don't know, but even if it's fucking 50%, he's still got 7 other fuckers in front of him, so he's got, 5 other fuckers in front of him.
Yeah, that's what he called his siblings,
Just fuckers.
affectionately.
Honestly,
fuckers.
wouldn't put it past this man. It gets wild. But he doesn't really feel like he's going to have any chance of succession, and neither does his parents. But the thing about being born noble is you still have advantages, even if you're not getting a kingdom. So
I guess.
he gets a very good education where he basically goes and studies with a bunch of monks at a monastery for most of his life, as one
Classic.
does in this time period.
Yeah, well, who else can read but a monk?
Honestly, yes. Exactly.
Yeah, that wasn't me being facetious.
Yeah.
That was me.
That was you talking about how the
telling
only
truth.
people that read are the people that translate and rewrite the Bible every fucking day of their lives.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you want to rewrite the Bible again? Well, we did it yesterday, but.
But it sounds
what
like
else are we
I've
gonna
got
do?
time.
So life is pretty fucking chill for young Brian.
The life of
until,
Brian. ...
Yeah.
Until.
One
The
day
Fire
where
Nation
he's
attacks.
roughly a teenager.
The Fire Nation.
Pretty much.
No, that was
he's roughly a
Megan's. That was
teenager.
Megan's joke. I was just laughing at it.
Oh, no. Until one day the Fire Nation attacked.
Stop it!
Because when Brian's about a teenager, he's sitting at the monastery, and the Limerick Vikings sail up the River Shannon and, do what Vikings did done gonna do, and they
Oh my
burn and
God.
pillage all the village.
Well, classic.
And I'm not doing an attempt to say because... they pillage this village that I'm not going to attempt to, actually try to say, because as I told you before... old Irish words, I'm never going to be able to fucking do that, and my mouth wasn't made for those kind of backflips.
My mouth wasn't made for walking. Or Irish.
Not for Irish walking.
That sentence
but-
made no sense.
So the Vikings go and they kill and they burn and they pillage, which is what they do. It's normal.
It sounds like normal Viking behavior.
Normal Viking behavior, except in the context of this story, the village that they just burnt and murdered everyone in was the one where Brian was studying.
Brian.
Good old Brian.
And while Brian and his older brother are sitting on top of a hill watching all of this happen, safely away,
Yeah.
for some reason, I guess it was fucking family day at the monastery, and all of Brian's brothers and mom are murdered in front of him.
Jesus.
Can't believe it.
Visit
but
your son
called
at
it.
work day.
So, 10 siblings and his mother, done. One instance.
Absolutely eat it.
So now his chances of succession are a little bit better.
Oh, that's true. He still has one brother left.
And all he has
Yeah.
to do is kill him.
He knows
So-
what he has to do.
At the end of the day, the Vikings slaughter everyone except for Brian and 2 of his brothers. And much like a Telltale game, Brian will remember this later.
He definitely will.
I think there's
I
only
wonder-
one way to not remember it later, and it's to be one of the brothers that got killed.
That died. Yeah. And we fast forward a little bit to 964, where Brian and his older brother, are you ready for this name?
No.
I haven't been ready for any of it.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Mathgamane.
Nope.
Jesus, that's That's
There's
Matthew, but to
there's
the
no
left.
yeah. That's my name to the left.
That's your. Oh, okay, again, I'll send this in Discord
It's my-
so you can tell me I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
This is my eldritch name. Nope, that looks like the right way to say that.
That's Mathgamane.
Mathgamane.
So-
Math
gaming.
Mathgamane, the first wizard.
The first wizard.
Mathgamane.
Oh my god, that's your new name, Matt. Mathgamane, the first wizard.
Wizard.
So, Brian and Mathgamane have been just fighting their absolute tuckuses off for Mathgamane to capture the Rock of Cashel. Which,
Was
when
the
you
Rock
capture...
of Cashel.
Jesus
The
Christ.
Rock of Cashel is like...
It's obviously the
like,
first wizard's focus. Please keep up.
Stop it.
Kind of, because whoever is in charge of the Rock of Cashel is basically the king of Munster.
No, that's.
It's like the capital of Munster.
I can't fucking do it anymore.
You're like
So-
making so much stuff up right now.
He's like
It's-
coming up with
it's so
words
great.
that don't actually exist.
They do exist, though.
This is Zach's
So-
D&D campaign.
Mathgamane and Brian capture the Rock of Cashel.
Mathgamane and Brian. Let's focus on how dumb that sentence is too. This is okay, so this is like a D&D campaign where one of the characters made his character, named him Mathgamane, and then like you got there
Everyone's
on
going
the day.
really hard in the paint.
Everyone's going really hard, and then the one guy shows up on the day, and it's like, "Hey, man, I still haven't gotten your character info." And he's like, "Yeah, his name's Brian."
His name's fucking Brian.
He's a
I don't
monk.
know.
Yeah. He's a monk.
He rewrites
so
the Bible for fun.
He's like, what's his backstory? It's just like, his parents died.
His whole family and his mom died in one day. Vikings, I guess. Let's roll.
So,
Roll Tide.
Mathgamane and Brian capture the Rock of Cashel, making Mathgamane the king of Munster.
I am
after their father dies.
The king of
but
Munster.
The kingship title is kind of iffy because all petty kings be petty in some fucking way.
Yeah.
And people in Munster all of the people in Munster and all the rest of Ireland didn't want to recognize Mathgamane as king.
Yeah, I mean,
But
'cause
this
he was a
story isn't
wizard.
about Mathgamane, it's about fucking Brian, so let's forget about him for a minute.
I can't
and-
forget about math.
As
let's
if you
forget
can
about it.
introduce a character like Mathgamane, and I'm just meant to set him aside?
We'll get back to him later, okay?
Okay, fine.
All right.
So, Brian is pretty restless now because there's no fucking war to fight because his brother's the king of Munster, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And also, a little person that we know about, or rather people that we know about, the boys of Limerick are also starting to get restless too.
Stop it. The boys of Limerick are also in this?
The Vikings of Limerick.
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna be real honest. If this isn't a D&D campaign by the time that we're done with this story, Zach's gonna be like, and it was all just a dream.
No, it's not all just a dream. This is fucking wild.
What the hell?
So, there's a shaky treaty between Munster and the Vikings that are basically like, hey, we won't fuck your shit up if you don't fuck our shit up. And Brian's like, hey, fuck that shit. These people
fuck you."
murdered almost a quarter of my family in front of my eyes. I kind of want to fuck them up.
Zach,
want
I think it was a
revenge.
little over a quarter.
Well, I was going to say, he murdered his mom and 10 siblings.
Yeah, that's more than a quarter of a family.
No, sorry. His mom and 9 siblings, so 10 out of 12 people.
Yeah, so 9 out of... Yeah, it's more... Zach, we gotta teach you math, bud.
I know, I'm dumb. So-
Zach, we gotta stop this podcast and we start like a learning montage where like
I guess
Like-
I'm gonna stop my story and go look up a couple Khan Academy videos. But so he's like, yeah, these people murdered a majority of my family. I
There we
want
go.
them dead.
He's Frank
And
Castle.
I
so-
want them dead too.
Instead of listening to his brother being like, hey, don't go start picking fights and shit.
Don't go chasing
Brian's like,
waterfalls.
what if I do go start picking fights?
But what if I
and
did, though?
He deserts his brother and leads a small group of men on a buck-wild guerrilla campaign against the Vikings.
Yep, no,
Oh my
this is a
God,
D&D
what a-
campaign. This
Where
is a
him and his men go so hard in the paint that they don't actually stop the guerrilla campaign. until after several months where Brian looks over at his once blooming gorilla army and realizes it's just him and like 10 other dudes that are still alive.
Oh my god.
And the
He's a
Vikings are
menace.
thoroughly fucked up.
We just go until we stop going.
Pretty
don't
He's
much.
the
until we
Energizer Bunny of guerrilla warfare.
Driven by nothing but hatred for this group of people, Brian's like, what if we just killed these fucking people?
I am fueled by spite alone.
Yes. And seeing the opportunity that Brian has given him, Mathgamane and this other
he
ruler,
did come back.
this other ruler, Male Mod, kind
No.
of say,
You gotta stop.
no, I can't. I'm giving you the names. What?
What? You gotta stop with these names,
Oh
dude.
god.
Look, I didn't name the people of Ireland. They named themselves.
But why?
These are not.
Yeah, that's how
So-
you'd say that.
But why?
Mathgamane and this other ruler, Male Mod, who is actually a rival of Mathgamane, who is like,
Mod.
Who's a male
he's
model?
like, I don't see the legitimacy of your kingship, but I guess I'll go fuck up some Vikings with you. Because they go finish the fight, Master Chief Brian, and burn Limerick to the ground.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
But
This
this
is
is the life of
honestly-
Brian Baru, and he isn't allowed to have anything nice in his fucking life.
This is honestly the funniest story.
So a few years later, you remember Maud,
Yeah.
the guy who helped with the Vikings?
Dude, how can I forget
Male
about
mod, the
Mad
guy
Mod
that you
over
literally
here?
just mentioned?
Yeah, well, he
Mad Mod
turns
from Teen
around and
Titans.
murders Mathgamane and claims
No,
himself to be king
Mathgamane!
Oh
now.
my god, you killed my favorite character.
So what does Brian do?
Brian-
Because
Oh
my
Brian
God.
doesn't like this.
Gets 10
Brian goes
guerrilla
on, like-
soldiers.
He goes on like a burnt earth policy.
Scorched earth.
Well, he does go on a scorched earth policy, but first off, Brian is a man that sticks to his convictions. So
he
before
definitely
going after Maud, he starts an entire campaign that officially kicks every fucking Viking out of Munster.
Nice.
He removes every Viking from Ireland, basically.
They don't deserve that cheese.
And second, he told Maud to batten down the motherfucking hatches.
Did he say it just like
because
that?
clearly,
Yeah.
I bet you he did.
Okay.
Because clearly no one kills this guy's family and gets away with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So he starts several month long campaign to go and he finds Maud and he kills him and solidifies his own claim to now become the king of Munster. So now King Brian of Munster says, it's good to be the king, but like, why would you be the king of Munster? When you could be the high king of Ireland.
When you could be the
That's so
High King
true.
of Brie or Gruyere.
So the man wages a 20-year fucking campaign against every other motherfucker in Ireland
What a
that dares to
fucking king.
tell him that he can't be a king.
Hmm.
He's actually like MVP.
And in 1014, we're finally in
we're
the quadruple digits. Sorry, 1002.
Oh.
So still in the quadruple digits.
But just
But
barely.
in 1002, he sits on his pile of bodies and throne and becomes the High King of Ireland.
I knew it.
Hell
I knew
yes.
it. He did it. King.
Brian.
And Brian, High King of
Brian,
Ireland,
the
is
first
just like,
king of Ireland.
He wasn't the first king,
Hey.
but he was great.
No, he was the first in my mind.
Now, he ends up dying in 1014, not very long after he takes
No,
the throne.
Brian, no.
In all fairness, at this time, he's in his 60s. That's
Well,
pretty
that's
good.
ancient.
Oh yeah,
That's
God,
ancient for this.
jeez.
Now,
Yeah, that's
He
actually.
made a deal with the bog hag.
with the bog hag, yeah. Now, like all good stories, the ending of this one is slightly up for debate.
Uh-huh.
Because some say that he died in man-to-man combat, despite his age 60-something fucking body. Well, others say he was killed while he was praying in his tent late at night by Brodir, a Viking mercenary.
Jujitsu.
Whether it was a noble death in combat or from a sneak attack, It doesn't really matter to me because Brodeer is captured very soon after the death of Brian and is executed by having his stomach slashed open and forcefully marched around a tree so that his entrails encircle the trunk.
Wow, fuck. Okay.
And that's the life of Brian,
Damn, dude.
High King of Ireland. So to recap,
I think we gotta do more Irish history.
I don't
Irish
think we
history's
need
fucking
to
great.
recap. There were too many side characters.
No. Just
No,
quick,
it was-
quick recap
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
make
quick
it so it's
recap.
easier to understand. Brian is born
Yeah.
Yeah.
as the long young child in a dynasty,
Yeah.
and his entire family is murdered by Vikings.
Yeah.
He grows up to murder a bunch of Vikings. Everyone in his family that was still alive dies, so he becomes king somehow, and he says, "What if I just became the king of everything?" And he fucking does it.
And then he dies.
And then he
Big
dies,
hero.
but we're all destined to get that point at some time. He just went out like a fucking boss.
I know, dude. That was so good.
That was a great story.
Irish history. Actually,
Irish history is fucking buck wild, and I love it.
It is insane.
Yeah, actually, so good. Yeah, we need to do more Irish stories. That was so
definitely
funny.
do. And Mathgamane needs to be a character in a D&D.
Mathgamane.
I will make Mathgamane a character in a D&D. session.
I will also have to do the same.
We're all
It'll
gonna
be
have
like
Mathgamane. No, I'm
be
Mathgamane.
multiple.
Megan's just gonna
No,
make
I'm-
her next character Mathgamane.
Yeah, you joke, but
No, I wouldn't put it past
you're not wrong. And
I love that.
Mathgamane might be. He's not going to be unhinged.
Why
you. He's gonna
not?
be an unhinged wizard. Don't lie.
I don't know.
All right,
might
guys,
be an
we
unhinged
have
wizard.
reached the part of the podcast where I try to do some semblance of an outro, and Zach interrupts me to talk about our socials, and that'll happen in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to interrupt Matt to talk about the socials. And those socials are as followed. Well, you can find us on the lovely platform of Instagram at _triumvirate_productions. You can find us on Facebook if you look up The Triumvirate Productions, and you can also join us on our Patreon, www.com. Wow, I fucked that up. www.patreon.com.
There are 3 W's in the
/triumvirate.
www, guys. www.patreon.
.com.
Zach's only
/
saying the first 2.
I only count the first 2. But anyway, patreon.com/triumvirate productions, where you can subscribe to our $3 level, where you just are like, hey, we like you, and you're pretty cool, so here's $3. Our $5 level, where you get What the Fuck After Dark, and as well as the rest of the stuff that everyone else gets. And our $10 level, which, hey, we have a $10 level subscriber now, y'all. Alana is very nice to have done that. And what you get at the $10 level is What the Fuck After Dark, as well as unedited episodes a day before they actually go out to the public, and show notes. And the After Dark.
I knew there was
So
something
you
I
get-
forgot to do this week.
That's all right. But yeah, so that's where you can find us on our socials. And if you don't want to give us some money because you're broke like the rest of us in this economy,
brother.
I understand. But you could also do is you can go on to Apple Podcast, and if you look under Apple Podcast, you can give us a rating and review. If you give us a 5-star rating and give us a little review, it kind of helps bump us up the charts. So it's like a free way to make us look good, and we like looking good.
We sure
It's
do.
true. That's why we go to the gym.
It is why we go to the gym.
Gym Tan history.
Yes!
GTH.
All right.
What if we go to the gym and we do this podcast on the treadmill?
I will be so out of breath.
I
My
would
cardio is
literally,
garbage.
yeah, I'd be screaming.
I only lift. I'm a fucking bro.
I would be screaming
I
for
only
death
lift.
after the first 5 minutes. So now that Zach has interrupted me to do the socials, I will do what I do best and bring this podcast to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at What the Fuck History. I have but one more question for all of you, our esteemed and noble guests, and that question is, what the fuck history?